Hello everybody, hope you all are doing great. In this video we are going to take a look at the design style of Glassmorphism, which also happens to be a lot in trend this year. So let's have a dive at its concept and how you can too make it for your designs. Let's begin. So what is Glassmorphism? Glassmorphism is a term used to describe any user interface design that incorporates the combination of translucency and the background blur effect. To understand this, consider this arrangement of layers where the bottom layer is a picture. Over that, you have the effect that blurs that particular area where the UI element is present. Then, put the glass texture layer for added realism, and finally, the layer of some tint of color, which is translucent, something that is semi-opaque or semi-transparent. We can understand this on practical terms if we take a look into this demo project where you can see the top layer of the box, which is the one representing the Glassmorphic design. By background blur, it is important to understand that it is different from object blur, which would blur the box itself. We don't want that. In Glassmorphism, we blur whatever's underneath the element. Then we can add some tint of color in it. Some tools also allow to control the brightness too. It isn't always important to put a glass texture unless artistically needed to, which we will have our hands on the next part in this video. Now that we have grasped the concept of Glassmorphism, let's learn how to implement it. Well, I'll be using Adobe XD, but the process is generally similar if you're using Figma, Sketch or anything else for the most part. I begin with a blank canvas, then naming and organizing the basics. Following that, I choose a background color to set the mood, create a viewport which would represent the mobile screen, and round the corners using the curve points. Quick tip: hold the Alt button whilst at it for the bottom ones which do not need to be rounded and has to stick to the base. Make sure that you remove the border that XD adds to shapes by default. Then I make some ellipses which would serve as the viewport's background. These objects will be underneath the Glassmorphic card we are about to create and will be subject to the background blur later on, making sure that we have a vibrant assortment of hues and tones. A subtle gradient always sets it apart indeed, by the way, over a monotone, but make sure that you do not overdo it. Then I make the card with a white fill and turn on the background blur. The brightness value compensates for the white tint that we are looking for along with the background blur. Now it already looks like our job's done, which would technically not be completely wrong, but this is what I like to call blurmorphic, since this is not completely glassy. For that, we need to go a few steps further and stack some more incremental elements together that add up to the finish we are looking into. For the next part, we move on to Photoshop to create a frosted glass texture. In Photoshop, make a card with the exact dimensions we are working with and have the foreground color set to a neutral tone of grey, #808080 would do just fine, and the background to pure white, #FFFFFF. That's 6 Fs, lot of respect going around. Anyway, now head on to the filter menu and convert the card we just created for smart filters. After that, go to the filter menu again and choose filter gallery. There, choose the diffuse glow filter under distort. You can play around with the parameters as needed. In this case, setting the graininess and glow amounts to all the way up at 10 and the cleared amount to nil seems perfect to me. Let's hit OK and continue. Next, export the card to a handy location to use in the main project. Now, go back into XD, duplicate the existing card upon the same position, and then drag and drop the frosted glass texture card image from the folder into the duplicated card on XD. Turn off the background blur effect to be able to see the frosted glass texture. Set the opacity to a lower value that fits the look. Awesome. That is all about the Glassmorphic card. All that is left is to complete the project. Let's do that. As the text goes up, make sure to go a little creative with it and play with its opacity and blending modes. In my opinion, Setting it to around 50% opacity or the blending mode set to overlay or both works fine. You can also duplicate the layers and do permutations and combinations of the opacity values and the blending modes to achieve more creative, accurate and aesthetically pleasing results. Finally, add a gradient border to the card. This introduces a slight photorealistic, shimmering 3D effect. And with that, we complete the look. So that's it for the video. I hope it helps you. Drop a like if so and subscribe for more videos like this. Do share if you really enjoyed it. This is Mritik signing out. Cheers, have a good one.